Good day, welcome to General Mathematics. And before we tackle the first topic of this subject, I'm going to tell you about the content of your module. First is what I need to know. This will give you an idea of the skills or competencies you are expected to learn on this lesson. Second, what I know. This part includes an activity that aims to check what you already know about the lesson to take. Next is what's in. This is a brief drill or review to help you link the current lesson with the previous one. Next is what's new. In this portion, the new lesson will be introduced to you in various ways, such as a story, a song, a poem, a problem opener, an activity, or a situation. Next is what is it? This section provides a brief discussion of the lesson. This aims to help you discover and understand new concepts and skills. Next is what's more. This comprises activities for independent practice to solidify your understanding and skills on the topic. Next is what I have learned. This includes questions or blank sentence or paragraph to be filled in to process what you learned from the lesson. Next is what I can do. This section provides an activity which will help you transfer your new knowledge or skill into real-life situations or concerns. Next is assessment. This is a task which aims to evaluate your level of mastery in achieving the learning competency. And additional activities. In this portion, another activity will be given to you to enrich your knowledge or skill of the lesson learned. This also tends retention of learned concepts. Okay, so you are ready for our first topic on function. What I need to know. After going through this module, you are expected to first recall the concepts of relations and functions. Second, define and explain functional relationship as mathematical model of situation and represent real-life situations using functions including piecewise function. Okay, what I know. Before we proceed with this module, let us assess what you have already knew about the lesson. So, prepare a pen and a paper for this activity. You are only going to choose the letter of the best answer. Write the chosen letter on a separate sheet of paper. Are you ready? Okay, I'm going to give you 10 counts on every item. Let's begin. Ilan ang nakuha mo doon sa activity natin kanina? Very good. Alam kong handa na kayo for our topic on lesson 1, which is representing real-life situations using functions. What have you remembered about relations and functions? Alam ko na napag-aralan na ninyo ito nung kayo'y nasa junior high school. Kaya ano ang mga maaalala ninyo patungkol sa relations and functions? Okay, ating balikan. A relation is any set of ordered pairs. The set of all first element of the ordered pairs is called correct, the domain of the relation, and the set of all second elements is called correct, the range. Isa pa ay ang function. A function is a relation or rule of correspondence between two elements, domain and range, such that each element in the domain corresponds to exactly one element in the range. Okay, so hindi lahat ng relation ay function. That's why ang kailangan nating maintindihan dito ay ang bawat element ng domain, it only corresponds to one element in the range. Hindi pwede na dalawa. So for example, here is true ordered pairs. Given the following ordered pairs, which relations are functions? Saan kaya dito ang functions? Tama, ang A at B ang functions. Samantalang ang C at D ay hindi functions. Bakit? So tignan nating maigi. Ang set A ay merong domain na 1, 2, 3, at 4. Meron bang naulit sa kanila? Wala. Susunod, tignan naman natin ang set B. Ang kanyang domain ay merong 3, 4, 5, 6. Meron bang naulit doon sa element ng domain? Wala rin. Samantalang ang set C ay merong naulit na 0. Ang 0,1 at 0, negative 1. Kaya hindi siya function. At ang set D ay merong naulit na A. Yung una ay ang A kasama ang B at yung ikalawa ay yung A na kasama ang D. Paano naman kung ang given data ay nasa table? For example, is how about from the given table of values? Which relation shows a function? Saan kaya dito ang function? At saan din kaya dito ang hindi function? Tama, ang A at B ay parehong function, samantalang ang C ay hindi function. Bakit? Tama kayo, walang naulit na value ng domain or nirepresent natin as the X value. Kaya walang naulit na X value doon sa data na nasa A. Ganon din sa data na nasa B. Walang naulit na value ng X doon sa given data. Samantalang sa data na nasa C ay merong naulit na negative 1. Negative 1 corresponds to 4 and negative 1 corresponds to 1. Kaya ito ay naulit o nagkaroon ng dalawang corresponding element ng range. Okay, paano naman pag diagrams? For example here, on the following mapping diagrams, which do you think represent functions? A, B, C. Saan kaya dito ang function at saan din kaya dito ang hindi function? Tama. Ang A at C ay parehong function, samantalang ang B ay hindi function. Bakit? Ating tignan. Ang domain ng A ay merong A, B, and C. Ang element A ay nakakorespond sa element X, ang B sa Y, ang C sa Y. Kaya kung titignan natin, ito ay tinatawag din na many to one function. Ganon din ay sa C. Si Jana corresponds kay Ray. Si Donna corresponds kay Mark. Si Maya corresponds kay Ken. So, ibig sabihin, ito ang tinatawag na one-to-one function. Kaya kung titignan natin, ang diagram B na merong domain na X, Y, at range na A, B ay hindi function sapagkat ang X ay nag-correspond sa A at B. Ibig sabihin ay naulit itong X na nagkaroon ng dalawang value ng Y o nag-corresponds sa dalawang element ng range. Okay. Paano naman natin masasabi na ang isang relation ay function sa pamamagitan ng graph? So, a relation between two sets of numbers can be illustrated by graphs in the Cartesian plane, and that a function passes the vertical line test. Meron tayong tinatawag na VLT or vertical line test. A graph of a relation is a function if any vertical line drawn passing through the graph intersects it at exactly one point. So, malinaw na dapat iisa lang na bahagi ng graph ang tatamaan ng vertical line. Kahit saan natin ilagay sa graph yung vertical line, kailangan isa lang ang tatamaan nito doon sa graph. So, tignan natin. So, example, using the vertical line test, can you identify the graph or graphs of function? Saan kaya dito ang function? Saan din kaya dito ang hindi function? Gamitin natin ang vertical line test. Tama, ang graph A at graph C ay function. Samantalang ang graph B at graph D ay hindi function. Ating suriin ang graph A. Gamitan natin ang vertical line test. Saan mang bahagi ng graph ay isa lang ang tinatamaan nito doon sa graph. Ganun din sa graph C. Saan man natin iguhit ang vertical line ay isa lang na panig o isa lang na point ang tinatamaan nito sa graph. Samantalang sa graph B ay merong dalawang tinatamaan na point. Ganon din sa graph D. Kaya hindi matatawag na ang graph B at graph D ay function. Hindi sila matatawag na function sapagkat higit sa isa ang tinamaan na point ng vertical line. Kaya natuto na tayo kung paano masasabi na ang relation ay function gamit ang ordered pairs, gamit ang table, gamit ang diagrams, at kahit sa graph. Kaya na nating suriin kung saan ang function at saan ang hindi function. In mathematics, we can represent functions in different ways. It can be represented through words, tables, mappings, equations, and graphs. Kagaya ng ginawa natin kanina na nirepresent ng relation at ng function gamit ang different types. So, alam na natin na for a relation to become a function, the value of the domain must correspond to a single value of the range. So, ilagay natin sa mga situation. For example, are the following conversation. Tingnan natin kung ito ay function or not a function. Let's read some of the conversations and determine if they can be classified as function or not. Mula sa mga conversation na ito ay sagutan natin ang mga bagay na ito. From the conversation, which scenarios do you think can be classified as function? Second, state the reason why or why not the above scenarios a function. Scenario 1. June and May are in a long-time relationship until June realized that he wants to marry May. Scenario 2. Kim is a naturally born Filipino, but because of her eyes, many confuse if she is a Chinese. Let's see how she responds to her new classmates who are asking if she is a Chinese. Scenario 3. As part of the requirements in statistics class, Andre made a survey on the religion of his classmates, and here's what he found out. Okay, so from the conversations, which scenario or scenarios do you think can be classified as a function? State the reason why or why not the above scenario a function. Okay, functions as representations of real-life situations. Functions can often be used to model real-life situations. Identifying an appropriate functional model will lead to a better understanding of various phenomena. For example, ay yung kanina na mga scenario. Una ay ang tinatawag natin na monogamous marriage. Example sa Christian countries is an example of function when there is a faith and loyalty. Let's say June is the domain and May is the range. When there is faithfulness in their marriage, there will be one-to-one relationship. One domain to one range. Maaari rin na ang nationality could also illustrate a function. We expect that at least the person has one nationality. Let's see from the previous scenario, Kim is the domain and her nationality is the range. Therefore, there is a one-to-one relationship. Since Kim was born and live in the Philippines, she can never have multiple nationalities except Filipino. Remember, under Republic Act 9225, only those naturally born Filipinos who have become naturalized citizens of another country can have dual citizenship. Maaari rin na makita ang function sa religion. So religion is also an example of function because a person can never have two religions. Inside the classroom, 3 classmates said that they are Catholic. They shows a many-to-one relationship. Can you cite other real-life situations that show functions? Great! Next is the function machine. Function can be illustrated as a machine where there is the input and the output. For example, if a function machine always adds 3 to whatever you put in it. Therefore, we can derive an equation of x plus 3 equals y, or function of x is equal to x plus 3, wherein function of x is equal to y. Another example, if height is a function of age, give a function h that can represent the height of a person in a age. If every year the height is added by 2 inches. So HA is equal to 2 plus A, since every year the height is added by 2 inches. Another example is the distance. If distance is a function of time, give a function d that can represent the distance a car travels in t, or time, if every hour the car travels 60 kilometers. So it is equal to 60 times t, since every hour the car travels 60 kilometers. Here's another example. Give a function b that can represent the amount of battery charge of a singular phone in h or r if 12% of battery was lost every hour. So it is 100 minus 0.12 times h or the r, since every hour loses 12% of the battery. Another example is the squares of side x are cut from each corner of a 10 inches by 8 inches rectangle so that its sides can be folded to make a box with no top. Define a function in terms of x that can represent the volume of the box. So it is 10 minus 2x times 8 minus 2x times x. Why? Because the length and width of the box are 10 minus 2x and 8 minus 2x respectively. Its height is x, thus the volume of the box can be represented by the function 80x minus 36x squared plus 4x cubed. Piecewise function. Piecewise function is a function in which more than one formula is used to define the output. Each formula has its own domain, and the domain of the function in the union of all these smaller domains. We notate this idea like this. Function of x is equal to formula 1 if x is in the domain 1. Formula 2 if x is in domain 2. Formula 3 if x is in domain 3, and so on. So for example, a user is charged 250 pesos monthly for a particular mobile plan, which includes 200 free text messages. Messages in excess of 200 are charged 1 peso each. Represent the monthly cost for text messaging using the function T of M, where M is the number of messages sent in a month. Next situation. A certain chocolate bar costs 50 pesos per piece. However, if you buy more than 5 pieces, they will mark down the price to 48 pesos per piece. Use a piecewise function to represent the cost in terms of the number of chocolate bars bought. Okay, so here is the answer. 50 if 0 is lesser than n and n is lesser than or equal to 5. It is for buying 5 chocolate bars or less. Another is 48n if n is greater than 5. It is for buying more than 5 chocolate bars. Okay, another situation. The cost of hiring a catering service to serve food for a party is 250 per head for 50 persons or less. 200 pesos per head for 51 to 100 persons. And 150 pesos per head for more than 100. Represent the total cost as a piecewise function of the number of attendees to the party. Okay, so here is its piecewise. First, 250 times n if n is lesser than or equal to 50. This is for the cost for a service to at least 50 persons. Second is 200 times n. If 51 is lesser than or equal to n and n is lesser than or equal to 100. This is for the cost for a service to 51 to 100 persons. And another is 150 times n. If n is greater than 100. Cost for a service to greater than 100 persons. What's more, read each situation carefully to solve each problem. Write your answer on a separate sheet of your paper. Okay, so are you ready? Okay, let's start this practice. Are you done with your independent activity? Okay, that's great. Now is what I have learned. Read and analyze the following statement. If you think that the statement suggests an incorrect idea, write it on the given space or on your separated sheet of paper. Otherwise, leave it blank. Letter B. In 3 to 5 sentences, write the significance of function in showing real-life situations. Letter C. In your own words, discuss when a piecewise function is being used. can do. At home or in your community, look for at least 3 situations that could represent functions. From the identified situations, write a sample problem and its corresponding function equation. For an example, situation is the budget for food if a function of the number of family members. Problem: Leah's family has 1,500 pesos food budget for each member of their family in a month. Express the total food budget as a function of number of family members in 1 month. So the function is b of x is equal to 1,500 times x. I know that you learned a lot today. Now it's your turn. Let's have an assessment. Multiple choice. Choose the letter of the best answer. Write the chosen letter on a separate sheet of paper. Are you ready? Okay, let's begin. For your additional activities, read and analyze each situation carefully and apply your learnings on representing real-life situations involving function including piecewise.